There's two different systems in the NFL we've been watching for the last 5-6 years, and we're like, wow, New England system, no emotion, academic. And then Seattle's culture, loud, over the top, political, Michael Bennett, Richard Sherman, Pete Carroll, chewing gum. Well, let's look at how the two systems are working today. New England won their division again. New England, and I lived in Connecticut for 11 years. I did not grow up a Patriots fan. I became a Patriots fan because I'm a fan of business, and they were run like a business. When you watch a Patriots game, there is a trust between the fans and the team. They'll get it right. Oh, there's a stinker every year, maybe in Miami or Buffalo. In September, they're not quite well-oiled. And so you'll watch the Patriots in September, or maybe that game in Miami every couple of years or in Buffalo, and you're like, whoo, and then they immediately fix it because that's what the academics do in life. They evolve and adapt, and they have rules and regulations. And here's what New England does that makes them different from everybody else in the NFL, having watched every snap for 11 years. They seemingly never fumble. Everybody else in the league does a lot. They have very few penalties. Everybody else in the league has a lot. They rarely have negative plays. It's never 3rd and 28. They don't have clock management issues like seemingly everybody else. And in the real big moments, you always trust emotionally they're manipulating the other team. That's what academic football does. Seattle is a different culture. I'll get to that in a second. But what New England is, somebody told me years ago, they said, Colin, as great as all these athletes and singers and artists are, they're not billionaires. Wealth isn't interesting and captivating and entertaining. Wealth is boring. Wealth is creating a reliable, consistent, dependable product, putting it on a conveyor belt, and while you vacation on your private jet in Hawaii, they sell it over and over. That is what wealth is. Wealth is boring. Derek Jeter's not a billionaire. Kobe Bryant's not a billionaire. You know who billionaires are? Accountants. NFL guys are boring, and the Patriots are the billionaires of the NFL. They have created a system that is reliable, consistent, without emotion. They're capable of avoiding cultural issues, rule changes, and injuries. They're not beholden to any one employee. And what they did yesterday is what they've been doing for years. A systematic, consistent, dependable product. They don't lead the NFL in penalties. They don't fumble. They don't get emotionally crazy. They adapt constantly, and they drive you crazy. And I never grew up as a Patriot fan. But the Patriots aren't a football operation. They are a business operation. And they are easily, look at their Super Bowls. They're a David Tyree helmet catch from 6-1. They don't blow anybody out. They never have. I'd argue in all 7 Super Bowls they've been in, they're the least talented team. But they're always the smartest, most reliable, most consistent, most prepared. This year in the NFL, number 1 in first downs, second fewest fumbles lost, second fewest giveaways, number 1 in offense with only 2 stars, Brady and Gronk. They're not a football team. They're a business operation. They're boring. So is wealth. So from that, let's go to the other way you can win in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll chewing gum 100 miles an hour. The media loves Seattle's political players, outspoken, talking about non-football issues. They're always in the press. They're high-fiving the 12th man, emotion, emotion, emotion. How are they doing this morning? They're not sure Pete Carroll's their future. Pete had to rush to Twitter before yesterday's game. Hey, I don't want to talk about retirement. I'm too young. So let's talk about how the business model in Seattle works. Pete Carroll's been there 8 years. Much like USC, when Pete arrived, it was big emotion, a cultural change. Buy into my ethos. High five. I'll change your life. And by the way, the first 3 drafts for Pete Carroll in Seattle were wonderful. They found all sorts of guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round that became stars because Pete was a college coach and he had an advantage over the rest of the National Football League. Hell, he'd recruited all these college kids. That's how he could find a Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. That's how he was able to know guys that you'd never heard of, that everybody else passed on 4 times. Pete knew. He'd been the college guy. He'd recruited them since their freshman year in high school. But have you seen Seattle's last 5 drafts as Pete gets further and further away from college? Frank Clark's good. He's not changing the game. Shaquille Griffin, the corner's good. Not a difference maker. His first 3 drafts when he was close to college were amazing. His last 5 are okay. By the way, the offensive line now is a joke. They don't have a top running back, receiving core, Doug Baldwin, and a bunch of guys. Russell Wilson's running for his life. They talk politics more than they do football. Richard Sherman gets paid a ton but is no longer a dominating player. And, oh, by the way, they led the NFL in penalties. Emotion, emotion, emotion. Look at how the Seahawks and the Patriots, the 2 teams I'm closely aligned to because of where I lived, grew up in the Northwest, then moved to New England. What is sustaining itself? What is lasting longer? What is, once again, the most formidable structure and operation in the league? Academics. Smart wins. It wins in the airline industry. It wins in the hotel industry. It wins in the tech industry. It wins in the political industry. And it wins in football. Emotion is fun. It gets talked about. The media likes it. They cling to it. We do billboard campaigns. But emotion has limitations. As a dad or as a coach, smart always lasts longer. New England once again goes in, according to Vegas, as the favorite. The Seahawks, if you read the tea leaves, aren't even sure they want to continue the relationship with Pete Carroll. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.